Legally screwed right here.
All right.
Now, 6 months after I paid a contractor's final invoice for repairs to my home.
6 months later.
6 months later.
Right.
They contacted me saying they made an internal error and undercharged me
I made a boo-boo.
by $10,000.
Wow.
They admitted fault.
Wow.
But now they want me to pay the difference. The final invoice I paid seemed to match the work done. What are my rights here, and do I have to pay
The
them?
final invoice from the one they signed 6 months ago or the new invoice?
How I'm understanding is the final invoice from when they were done
6 months ago.
seemed to match the work that was done.
All right. Now, here's the thing. Anytime a contractor works for you, they normally give you an estimate.
That's how it works.
Okay. Now, if you notice, for example, you're going, okay, he charged me $1,000 and he put $14,000 of tile in here.
Okay.
You don't go, oh, I won the lottery. Okay. Now, it's hard for me to believe that this error, unless it was a huge job.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I'm guessing.
It had to be one of these.
It's a renovation.
Let's say it's a $100,000 job or a $200,000 job.
Yeah.
But if you can't tell within $10,000, that's a little iffy.
It is a little iffy.
It's hard to trust. Now, if there's a contract out there that gave that price and the final invoice, you go, oh, you owe me this much. And I'd go, wait a minute, this is under $10,000. Now, if I should be aware of it.
Okay.
If it's easily, I should be aware of it, then I'm definitely responsible. Or if it's in the contract.
Yes, I was going to say that.
I'm responsible.
If I came to you and said, you're the contractor, I said, hey, I want a job done, you tell me $50,000. I'm like, okay, I'm basing my budget off 50. Then you give me an invoice for 40, and I know that, okay.
You know how this normally happens?
Yeah.
They have what they call change orders.
Okay.
Okay. And change orders are covered in the contract that if you make any changes to the order, we can add or subtract.
It's a buffer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling this has to do with a change order.
Okay.
That you asked for something else and the accountant who was handling the files or somebody at his office didn't put the change order in.
Okay.
Didn't account for it. The truth is, if you owe the money, you still owe it.
Okay. All right. If it's within that contract with a change order.
So what happens is just because it was an accounting error, it doesn't mean you don't owe it.
Okay.
Now, here's some of the problems also on top of that. If you choose to fight it or refuse to pay it, they can lien your property.
The one they just worked
Now, when people hear the word lien, they go, what does that mean? Okay. When you get a mortgage on your property, for example, let's say I buy a home and I get the mortgage through, let's say, whatever it is. The mortgage company puts a lien on the property, which means that in the records, it shows that there's, let's say, $500,000 owed on this house. So you can't sell it before you pay off the lien.
Correct.
Okay. So let's say you have a mortgage and now you have a mechanic's lien, which is what they call these things when somebody does work on your property. Now, if you sell the property, you're going to wind up paying that extra $10,000.
You're going to have to pay that money off.
Now, and that's not to show that the guy won't sue you for what they call breach of contract because he has a contract for this. Now,
okay.
If there's liability attached to it, for example, I was harmed because you didn't give me the total amount of the bill. For some reason, I was able to, my ex-husband or my ex-wife said she's going to pay this bill. And now she's gone, I'm not going to pay any extra money now.
Okay.
There are some things that come in and out. But normally, if it's rational and it was a harmless error,
okay,
then you're going to owe that money.
Okay.
So now it sucks. You don't want to have to do this, but most of the time that $10,000 will be the difference between them profiting and losing money on it. So they did this work and now they're out $5,000.
Because they still
and I'm not saying, when I say 5,000, I mean, let's say the actual work and everything else cost, $5,000 more than what they charged you. And they're going, that $10,000 covers the $5,000 they're in debt plus the $5,000 in profit they make off the job.
Correct.
So that's where it comes from. Yes, a mistake was made, but if it's actual and you owe that money, you owe that money.
Gotcha.
But it's going to really deal with the contract and things like that.
Well, let's take it the other way. Let's say that you did pay, you hired this contractor for $50,000. You paid him $50,000 and he comes back. Oh, no, I really meant.
No.
So then he has to kick rocks.
I had an issue in my house, for example. I had one where the guy came back with an extra bill at the end of it. I said, I'm not paying this. we paid the amount. Well, no, it actually cost this and this. I said, well, my contract said this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually won in the courtroom. But I had to hire an attorney and go in and fight it. And people are going to ask, why didn't you go in and represent yourself? Because I'm not a moron.
Could you please tell people that, like, you don't represent yourself?
In TV, where the attorney
Yes.
goes in and represents themselves and does these things, first off, the judge doesn't like you for doing it.
No, he doesn't.
You look like a douche in front of a jury.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I might think of myself as the best attorney available,
Mm-hmm.
but not to represent myself.
Got it.
Because I'm doing about 50%. I'm harming myself by 50% by doing it.
Yeah.
Because there's also a problem when an attorney represents himself. We get a little passionate. We have the inability to not be the client.
Gotcha.
Attorneys are the worst clients. I'm the worst.
I believe
Never
that.
represent me.
Really?
Never represent
What
me.
happens?
Oh.
What happens to you, Jeff?
I'm too competitive.
Are you really?
I'm too
You
competitive.
want to win, win, win.
Oh, I get so mad. And I've actually taken over.
I was going to ask that. I didn't want to say
No.
it, but how
I
do you
made the
not want to
mistake.
take over? How do you not?
It's impossible.
How do you sit there and you don't yell out, I object? Like,
Let's say during this trial, I made a lot of comments
did you really?
that I shouldn't have made.
You couldn't stay quiet?
The judge in this case kind of liked me.
He knew you.
She knew me.
She knew you.
And she would just like giggle.
Because she knew you were like
when I was getting questioned, I really smacked the hell out of this attorney.
because you know what you're doing.
And there were a couple times where I said, you really want to open the door to that? I'm asking the questions.
Okay.
Ask it again then.
Okay. All right.
And then smack. Objection, Your Honor. I told him.
I tried.
I told him that he's not going to like this answer.
Uh-huh. All right.
And then the judge said to him, he did tell you. So yeah, not great.
Not great.
I'm not a great client. But when I watch an attorney who's doing something wrong, I admit sometimes I go, don't do that.
In your head,
No.
you're like,
Now, if he's on the other side of the table, I'm going, knock yourself out.
Is there a point in an actual trial where you're hearing what the other side is saying and you know what you have and you say, that's where you lost it? That's the point.
Normally
you
under my
lost it.
breath, it's like,
You know, in your head,
Yeah.
you're like, I know that's where you lost it.
when I see a guy mess up,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going, oh, here it is. I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he just gave me that gift.
Is there a lot of foot and mouth when it comes to lawyers as far as, you shouldn't have said that?
Stop the questions.
Got it.
Lawyers make that big mistake where they get riled up.
Mm-hmm.
They lose focus sometimes. And then they ask the question they shouldn't ask. Like, I don't open the door to nonsense.
Because you know better.
I know better.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing. I don't want to spend 45 minutes cleaning up a bad question.
There you go.
And I'm going to wind up doing that. And I've been in my closing sometimes, and I've had to basically make up for a bad answer that my client gave.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't bad. He didn't mean to.
But he just
But now that's the whole case, is one answer that he mixed up.
exactly.